Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So a fresh start to the week and absolutely a horrendous start as well. Tesla ending the day down to $167.88, which is pretty much down almost 7% on the day compared to the market, the NASDAQ, the QQQ. Being down just to 1%, Tesla, we can, I think, agree on substantially, severely underperforming the market yet again. Surprise, surprise. At this point, it just feels normal, honestly. It really, really does. But let's just talk about it. Let's see. Is this something to worry about? Is this all bad? Is this over? Is there still hope? Let's discuss it, guys. So all that being said and done, don't forget to hit that like button. So first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, none of this is financial advice. Make your own decisions. Do your own research. Now, back when we were here, and especially when we were all the way up here, right, we did talk about the infamous levels of the 180s, how that was my, like, kind of, overall main price target, but then it can go as low as the 150s, right? Well, it seems like the 150s aren't that far away anymore. And on top of that, this first level that we dropped to now after breaking 180, which apparently we couldn't hold, unfortunately, even though it did seem like on Friday we have a chance, we came down to this 160 kind of 7-ish level that I have here. I have had here for a long, long time, right? I've had this level here for a very, very long time. You can go back, several weeks. We finally came to this level. This is a very important level. If this level breaks, then I believe 150s is pretty much going to happen without question. So that's extremely important at the very moment, right? You can see the volume is increasing on this very large red candle as well. So now, even though we have been essentially more or less correct about thinking that Tesla can drop to potentially 150s, I will admit it is happening substantially more aggressively and especially faster than I did think. I didn't think it would happen this fast, this aggressively. Mainly because the market, you can see, has been rallying for the past, quite a while, actually. These are all daily candles, right? We've been rallying for the last, let's see here. How many trading days is this now, right? For the past, that's the wrong thing. I meant to do this one. So for the past 27 bars, 27 trading days from the bottom to the top, or I guess the top-ish recently. 27 trading days, right? Essentially just over a month overall. The market has been rallying. Tesla, in that same period, let's check it out, right? So from here, going back 27, it would be somewhere around here. Has dropped 33% roughly, give or take, right? Something like that. 25%, right? We have dropped about 25 or so percent while the market has been pretty much going up from the bottom. We have just been going the complete opposite. So Tesla, severe disconnect compared to the market, severe disconnect, right? So that's something to consider. And that's also why this drop being this harsh, this fast, has personally caught me off guard as well. Like, absolutely, right? I did not expect it to happen like this at all. Not this aggressively, not this fast relative to the market. Sometimes it'd be like that. Sometimes Tesla, we have said, likes to do its own thing, and it's very well been doing its own thing. However, all that being said and done, let's talk about it, right? Is there still any hope? Is this all doomed? Should you just sell and just, forget about it? Again, none of this is financial advice. Obviously, each person's financial situation is all, relative, right? So make sure you know what you're doing and the risk tolerance and all that stuff. I'm not going to tell you whether you should sell or you should buy. I'll just tell you what I'm personally seeing, and you can make your own final judgment and assessment from that, right? If you've been wondering, I have personally been buying. I personally did buy 100 shares today. I did sell a put on Friday. And again, I have cash ready for the 150s if we get there. I'll be buying several hundreds of shares in the 150s if we somehow end up getting there, which at this point seems potentially likely. So one thing you can see that I have drawn here, these kind of like, I don't know what color this is, like teal, I guess, or like light green, yellow line, whatever color that is, right? You can see this kind of wedge that started ever since we started this overall descent from the 313s, right? We've been pretty much descending more or less down this level right here. You can also make an argument that it's something like this as well, because we never really actually closed above it. You can also make this argument as well, right? Whichever one you want to look at. The point is the fact that we are essentially in this kind of descending wedge at the very moment, which it is starting to get a little bit tight, right? On the daily, you can see, right? From these two candles over here, we came down, touched right around here, bounced back up, and now we're pretty much, you can argue, you can make an argument that it's something like this as well, but it's somewhere along the lines of pretty much where we are at right now, which also coincides with this kind of 167-ish support that I have, which, by the way, if you're curious what the support even is and why it's here, looking back all the way to these levels over here in 2020 of November, 19th November 2020, and over here on the 1st of September roughly of 2020 as well, right? Pretty much a year ago. 2 years ago. Man, time flies really fast. Pretty much 2 years ago-ish. these were pretty important levels. You can see we rallied all the way up here, got rejected at this exact level, consolidated, ran up, got rejected twice at this level as well, and then finally pushed up. And once we did, we had a beautiful rally all the way back then, right? 2 years ago, which seems like forever now. But the point is the fact that you can see these levels were quite important, right? As we got rejected twice at them. And that is the current level that I have listed, about 167-ish, right? And that's what this current line is right here, which is where we are currently at, showing very, very, very slight signs of potential support and bounce, but nothing too completely wild yet, right? But ultimately what I'm seeing right now is the fact that we are potentially in this ascending wedge, which kind of coincides more or less with this more or less 167-ish line, which I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla does get a bit of a bounce potentially from here, which I am of course hoping for. Now, on top of this, you can see we are still playing out this bear flag, which I will delete now, but we are playing out this bear flag. Which can potentially still get us all the way to 150 before an actual true bounce and an actual potential bottom. That is still very possible. But this right here is also a possibility of a bounce right here as well, right? Now, as usual, if this level decides to fail or break, we go under it, and especially we start going under this teal line, etc. So essentially, if we start breaking underneath like 164-ish, I would say, even like that's when things can get potentially really, really bad. And that's when honestly the 150s really start getting into play and becoming much more likely, right? Now, one thing you can notice, for instance, on the daily is the fact that as we are essentially making lower lows, as you can see, as the stock is going down, 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 using this line right here, right? Down, 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 lower lows, lower lows. The RSI is essentially making, you know, arguably a double bottom here, but a pretty obvious higher low here, even though we made a pretty obvious lower low. Nice little bullish divergence setting up over there. Same thing on the 4 hour. You can see as we're going down, 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 the stock is trying to go slightly up, 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 right? Same thing on the 1 hour kind of, right? Making higher lows while the stock is making lower lows. So a bunch of bullish divergences are actually overall setting up on the 30-minute as well, right? You can kind of see it on the 15-minute chart as well a little bit, right? Compared to like back at these levels here. So, you know, there are definitely divergences setting up, which is a good sign. Now, the bad sign is the fact that on the weekly, there is no bullish divergence. In fact, it is just simply following the chart, which isn't necessarily a horrible thing, but it's definitely not a great thing, mainly because it's not really showing that crazy strength yet. And the weekly makes the level of, you know, this kind of 150-ish seem much more likely to hit. Just based on how it looks overall, right? This seems like there's a lot more support over here than there is up all the way at this kind of 167 level. So just something to consider as well, right? But that's kind of what I'm seeing at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. So again, you know, we are definitely playing with fire here, right? Moving over to, let's say, the daily, as again, you can see we have these two kind of major lines over here, the red line and the teal line, all the way from these levels up here, right? When we were trading at February 22nd. Around 234, as we started this overall kind of descent still-ish from this level. You know, you can see the red line. Let me zoom in a little bit better, right? So it kind of crosses through here, showing some supports and whatnot over here, but we did go a little bit lower, as you can see on these two lines over here. I believe this is where the war more or less started, I believe, when we had the massive drop and the massive recovery. I think that was that. But nonetheless, right, you can see, you know, using the red line, we are essentially down under the red line now, which isn't a good sign. There's the next one being this kind of, you know, yellowy green line, which now is using the kind of more less conservative, sorry, the less conservative, I believe, kind of area of support, where you can see as we're touching the very bottom outside area of the overall kind of trend line, the potential that we are in, which looks a little bit more obvious on the weekly. But you can see, you know, starting from here, we touched these two lines here that we kind of had the wicks, the very bottom of both the wicks, which continues downwards and pretty much meets at the 150 level if we get there within the next, honestly, at this point, like 3 weeks ish or so. And that would pretty much line up with this overall support as well, which could be also a thing, right? So, you know, it's hard to say, guys. It's hard to say. I do think that we're getting quite close to potentially the bottom for Tesla, because also it's just so severely disconnected from the market. The only issue is that it makes me worried as to, like, you know, when the market finally decides to break out of this little ascending wedge or whatever you want to call it that it's currently in. The second this breaks, I mean, the market is going to definitely, you know, fall potentially fairly aggressively. And, you know, is that just going to put more pressure on Tesla? Does that mean Tesla is going to just follow the market there as the pressure starts, you know, hitting Tesla as well? Or is Tesla going to somehow go against the market again, this time in the opposite way? That's the question. That's the big question, in my opinion, still. You never know with Tesla. That's the thing, though, right? Once this potential Twitter overhang starts to lift and Elon, you know, this whole like Twitter saga essentially kind of, you know, starts coming to a close, I think that's when, you know, it's going to start getting a lot more obvious. I also looked up the short interest on Tesla. It's substantially rising in Q3, which is essentially the quarter we are in right now. It is going up quite significantly, as I'm sure you can probably guess based on how the chart has been pretty much dropping like 5%. It feels like every single day. But that is kind of what I'm seeing, ladies and gentlemen. There's no point in even looking at these things other than the Bollinger Band, in all honesty, right? Which we are once again at the very bottom of it. This is the big move I was talking about when we were tight over here. Well, the big move was unfortunately to the downside, which isn't ideal, but sometimes it'd be like that, right? So that's kind of what I'm seeing. The main thing I'm personally looking at for now is this kind of, tighter wedge that we are in right now. This kind of, the one I've been pointing out to you guys right now, that we are right at the bottom of right now, which also coincides with that 167-ish support. So that's kind of what I'm personally eyeballing at the very moment. This 167 level, extremely important. And I think if this ends up overall not holding and breaking, not only can these divergences potentially just completely fall apart, but I do think that 150s is very much in action and in play if that were to happen. So, unfortunately, we couldn't get the bounce that we wanted at the 180 level. We obviously paid the price for it today. And I do think that, this is the next level now that we dropped to pretty fast, pretty aggressively, which I personally don't mind. I'd rather get the bleeding kind of, out of the way, rip the Band-Aid off, just drop it, just get it done with. And then, hopefully we can finally start, making our way back up slowly but surely, right? So that is what I'm seeing, guys. Let me know what you think down below. Pretty wild stuff. Again, if it makes you feel any better, I am, of course, on my main account. On my accounts, I'm overall still kind of buying, but I'm overall waiting for the 150s level if we do get there. But I am hurting as well, right? If anyone, maybe feels like they're alone or something like that, yeah, I'm also, hurting, right? I'm obviously down as well. But I'm not worried. I'm personally not worried at all. I mean, I know people are probably worried. I know people are probably freaking out or something, but I don't know. I'm not worried. I don't know why I'm just not. Is what it is, right? I guess. But yeah, we'll see what happens. And yeah, let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget, by the way, this week rather, is a shorter week. Thursday is American Thanksgiving. I think the market is completely closed. And Friday, I think the market closes at 1 p.m. Eastern, I believe, or maybe 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern. It's a shorter day. Just keep that in mind, FYI. So if you're buying options for this week, just be careful. Time is not on your favor or on your side for this week. But either way, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.